Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The PLP chairman slams the Prime Minister over his recent comments on Grand Bahama.
Another fire rips through the junkyard at Strawn's Auto. We've got the story for you straight ahead.
Mommy Mondays is going to take you inside Clean Eats 242 so you can stay healthy during pregnancy. Stay tuned for the details.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, amid uncertainty surrounding the future of the Grand Lucayan Hotel, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says the government is prepared to purchase the resort on Grand Bahama if a buyer cannot be found. Well, that announcement now has Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell questioning how a broke government with bare cupboards can afford to buy a hotel. Jasmine Brown reports.
The PLP chairman using some colorful words to describe the Prime Minister's recent comments as he insists they reek of desperation.
I would say they're ill-informed and sound rather desperate because they said that this thing was going to be concluded. And it doesn't look like it's anywhere near being concluded.
Mitchell was responding to these comments made by the Prime Minister who addressed members of the Free National Movement's Grand Bahama branches on Friday.
Under no circumstances can be allowed to close.
The all-inclusive resort closed its doors for repairs after Hurricane Matthew back in October 2016, but only the Lighthouse Point reopened a month later. The Minnis administration has made an offer to Hong Kong conglomerate Hutchison Whampoa to purchase the hotel last October, but that sale never happened. Minnis told members of the F&M's Grand Bahama branches that he feared the closure of the Grand Lucayan would lead to other job losses on the island.
Those in Nassau may not understand how important the Grand Lucayan is to Grand Bahama. They may only look and say, well, that's 200-300 jobs. We lose that in Nassau, what's the big deal? But they don't understand that the Grand Lucayan is the heart of Grand Bahama.
The PM's comments came after Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest previously indicated that government would make clear where it stood on negotiations to sell the hotel complex within 30 days. Mitchell says it appears the PM and DPM are reading from different scripts.
That he and his Deputy Prime Minister aren't saying the same thing.
Mitchell also insisted the Minnis administration would not be in this predicament if it had not tampered with the plans already set in motion by the previous Christie administration.
So it's all there. They don't have to invent the wheel.
While Mitchell agrees the reopening of the hotel would be a major boost to employment on Grand Bahama, is what the island's economy really on the ground. For that reason, he says the government should put its efforts and resources into other projects. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, fire services officials spent the night battling a blaze at a familiar location. As many as 250 vehicles were engulfed in flames, posing a serious threat to nearby buildings. Jared Higgs has that.
Most, if not all, of these fire trucks had to head down to Soldier Road last night as they fought a blaze at Strawn's Auto.
The fire started somewhere in the vicinity of the northern region, but the exact point or the cause of the fire we have not determined at this point. But we know that it's probably maybe between 200 to 250 vehicles that are being destroyed. It poses a major threat to the residents in that area.
As a precaution, power was shut off in the area as firefighters battled the blaze. Evans says the fire was especially dangerous due to the physical components present in the scrapped automobiles.
Definitely gasoline, and also too you have oils, you have engine oils, and you have those kinds of things, and transmission, your power steering fluids, all of those things. In addition to the interior of those vehicles, the kinds of materials, the cloth materials in some instances, all of those assisted in the propagation of that blaze.
Colin Young works at the apartment complex adjacent to the yard. He says he heard the commotion caused by the fire from his home in Garden Hills.
I would hear bam, bam, it's only gun bullets, right? I hear a couple shot, couple shot, right? I sit inside, and I come outside. I see the smoke. Now the first time it happened.
The last major fire reported at the junkyard on Soldier Road was back in June 2013. At that time, residents could be seen fighting the fire with hoses in a bid to protect their homes. Another neighbor remembers that blaze and others that have occurred since all too well. He insists that something ought to be done about the growing scrap metal yard next door.
I've never seen it pile up this much, but over the years, they accumulated.
This is not the first time. We've had several fires there, and so the matters concerning that the property being addressed through the relevant ministry to ensure that that there can be some attention drawn to see what can be done.
Following the June 2013 blaze, then Environment Minister Kenred Dorset said a team from his ministry had visited the scrap metal site and that he eagerly anticipated seeing a full report into the matter. He also noted that the country only has one official scrap metal site on Marshall Road. According to residents, the yard at Strawn's Auto has existed for more than 15 years. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
A man died tragically last night after the small car he was a passenger in crashed into a Poinciana tree on Western Road. It's the second traffic fatality reported on that stretch of road in 3 days. According to police reports, 2 men were riding along Western Road in a black 2007 Honda Fit around 9 p.m. when the driver lost control of the vehicle and crashed into the tree. Both men were discovered unresponsive. Paramedics were called and attempted to revive the passenger of the car, but he was pronounced dead on the scene. Meanwhile, the driver was taken to hospital where he is listed in serious but stable condition. On Friday, a 19-year-old college student died on Western Road in a 3-car collision. Well, despite government's efforts to reduce the number of work permits being granted, Director of Labor John Pinder says more and more businesses are seeking foreign labor. This comes just 2 days after the Department of Statistics revealed an increase in discouraged workers.
And I have several complaints right now. Some major investors in this country, some of the second largest employers in this country, who are really belittling and mistreating Bahamians just to be able to bring in who they want.
It's a battle government's been fighting for quite some time now, getting companies to hire Bahamians over foreign labor, even to the point where government recently increased the fees for work permits. But according to the Director of Labor, companies have still been working around it.
To be honest with you, I see a lot coming from the hotels. Certainly, as relates to the living maids and stuff, persons who could afford those, they do that. There's a medical institution that look for certain persons, but not on a large scale.
Recent figures from the Department of Statistics showed a tiny decrease in unemployment in the country, but an increase in people who have stopped looking for a job because they feel there's nothing available for them.
Now, oftentimes employers will run ads with very minimum salaries for some of these jobs that we know is valued more than they're running the ads for. Sometimes that's a discouragement to the person who's looking for a job. And then sometimes they set a criteria so high that they figure no Bahamians qualify, and so Bahamians don't actually apply.
But Pinder said there's some blame to be placed on the Bahamian workforce as well.
The one thing we realize, all the employers would have said to us that Bahamians have the ability to perform a lot of these duties, but they don't have the stick ability to keep these themselves employed. And so I think too often they look for a job, not actually a career.
Overall, he said people have been utilizing the services being offered at the Department of Labor and making the applications for employment. He said he's even noticed more people leaving the country's second city.
And so those persons who you may think have given up on trying to find a job, that isn't necessarily so. They might have given up in the various islands. But a number of persons have gone between Grand Bahama and Abaco and some of the islands that are doing pretty good and have been able to find employment.
Well, Bahamians are also sounding off on the latest job figures. Jillian Gray has that.
Young persons between the ages of 15 and 24 years old currently make up the largest number of unemployed persons. Now, despite the Deputy Prime Minister stating last week that the government is doing all it can to combat that rising statistic, there are some who says that the government can still do more.
Poor people in the country is hurting. So the government, he needs to do something. He needs to provide some jobs for the unemployed people.
Or make some way that people could really uncivil anyhow civil. If you could civil to a business system or something like that, that load some kind of little taxes on them, that they could employ some people.
Last week, Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest praised the recent $20 million IDB loan as one of several answers to the high unemployment rate in the country. However, entrepreneur Damien Halbert said it's time for the unemployed to begin to create their own opportunities.
People need to become entrepreneurs. I think they need to go there and try to make something happen for themselves first, before looking at what the government can do for you.
Mother of 5 Gwendolyn Kelly agreed with Halbert and went as far as suggesting businesses for persons to start. As she says, opportunities are all around.
I think we should take that opportunity and jump. I'm always looking for somebody to wash a window or wash a car good or clean the yard. And they may be somewhat low end, people may think, but people charging, I pay $120 to clean my yard once a month.
Unemployment among young persons has increased from 22.1% in November 2017 to 24.1% in May 2018. Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Still to come on our news, the PLP chairman slams recent comments made by a Haitian official, plus how to kick the cravings when eating for two. Stay tuned.